and workshopping it with the stakeholders. With this, the government has done its own part. Government intervened in terms of policy and infrastructure in unserved and underserved communities.
It is only proper for me to congratulate the federal government, particularly the Nigerian Communications Commission and its various experts, on the success of the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum auction, the transparency and professionalism that was displayed in the process shows that Nigeria as a country, and NCC in particular, has acquired the necessary skills, competence to successfully organize such a sensitive and strategic auction process. Looking around Africa, we haven't seen a country that has achieved as much as Nigeria has done in the area of spectrum auction.
Lead consulting strategist, Digital Sense Africa, and editor, IT Realms Media Group, Remy Mweke, in a telephone conversation, shares his perspective on the safety or otherwise of 5G network.
The deployment of 5G is very, very safe. As of today, all the regulatory agencies, that is including the International Telecommunication Union and the World Health Organization, have not come up to say that deployment of 5G poses any known adverse effect. So I can say confidently that it is safe. With regards to what transpired at US end, where aviation stakeholders were raising some issues. You know, the deployment and regulation aspect of telecom is not the same. We are not operating in the same market, even though we have a relatively close standard. You know, the US is not the same way we operate here. So, and here, there is guideline, and in talking about guideline, there is always a gap in terms of frequency allocation on what should come in next. Okay, so that market and Nigerian market is not the same. What we are deploying in our own frequencies may not tally with their own frequencies because it's not on the same in the same market, so to say.
A section of the Asokoro District Hospital has been engulfed by fire on Thursday. The cause of the inferno has not yet been established, and according to eyewitnesses, the fire started at the store where obsolete equipment and materials are kept. The fire raised a laboratory of the Institute of Human Virology of Nigeria, located at the backyard of the hospital. It is said to have started around 12 noon and lasted for about 2 hours before it was put out by a number of firefighting trucks. No casualties recorded as staff working in the laboratory managed to escape unhurt. Trust TV observed that properties and equipment, including air conditioners, desktop computer sets, refrigerators, furniture, and relevant documents worth millions of naira have been destroyed by the fire. Efforts to speak to the hospital management proved abortive as those on ground declined to speak to the press. Meanwhile, the fire had been put out by the Federal Fire Service. And at least 5 persons were hospitalized following a fire outbreak on Wednesday night, which gutted the Lagos campus of the Nigerian Law School, located at Ozumba Mbadiwe Street, Victoria Island. Confirming the report, the Director of the Lagos State Fire Service and Rescue, Margaret Adeshe, through the service's Public Affairs Officer, Amadou Shuaibu, said there is no casualty. According to Adeshe, preliminary investigations by the fire service indicated power surge as the cause of the fire outbreak, adding that a detailed investigation will be carried out to determine the immediate and remote cause of the incident with a view to preventing future occurrence. Reports say the fire started from the first floor of this 5-story hostel building accommodating about 1,500 law graduates on the Lagos campus, which led to a stampede in the hostel. Students jumped out from the first floor where the fire started near the reading room, while other students ran out of their rooms in panic, with 5 persons seriously injured, while one elderly woman who was a cleaner had her toe dislocated. And fuel scarcity is still biting hard in Borno State as Maiduguri residents complain of hike of transportation fares as the scarcity lingers despite assurances of increased supply. Filling stations were chaotic, with motorists struggling to refill their tanks. The report.
It's free flow of traffic during the day in Maiduguri metropolis. Some residents faced difficulty to get a ride to their destination, offices and place of business. The scarcity of petrol experienced in the capital city had some filling stations closed and those dispensing had long queues.
When I drove to this place, most of the petrol stations I passed near them had no fuel. So I suppose the problem will intensify. The best thing to do is the government should just quickly do what it wants to do. That is, increase the price and let people have fuel. That will make things easier for them than to just keep quiet and clearly things are not moving on fine.
Okay. I've been here since 8 o'clock and now it's almost 3. Since 8 in the morning.
Where are you supposed to be?
I was not even able to go to office. I was supposed to go to work. I've not been to the office. I was supposed to go and pick my children around 2. Now it's to 3. They're still in school.
The official pump price of 165 naira per litre remains unchanged, but some residents complained that transport fares have tripled.
Now 15 naira we take KK everywhere where we go pay 15 naira. But this time around we don't really know. Our government wants to suffer, so we pay 200 naira one drop, 15 naira, 200 now, 300. Some people are paying 70 naira, and we don't know what to do. We are suffering. Government out.
We have only discharged 45,000 liters. Yesterday we sell 30,000 liters. So the only that one that we have 15,000 liters on ground. So we starting selling 15,000 liters since in the morning. By any moment they will finish now.
Residents hope that the fuel scarcity does not last long and pray that it does not impact on price of commodities in the country.
And factions of the All Progressive Congress APC in Kano State have reacted to the ruling of an appeal court on the parallel state party congress in the state. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that the Governor Abdullahi Ganduje-led faction sees the ruling as favorable, but the Ibrahim Shekaru faction says it is not yet uhuru, as it will appeal the judgment it described as neutral to both sides. The report.
Court of Appeal in Abuja had earlier ruled that neither it nor the lower court has the jurisdiction to entertain the matter, considered an internal party affair. But in a swift reaction, organizing secretary of the Ibrahim Shekaru faction of the APC in Kano State, Sharif Nalungu, says they are putting machinery in motion to appeal against the position of the appellate court in respect to jurisdiction.
But in our understanding, we know this type of case happens in Zamfara, Rivers, Bauchi, and Bayelsa, and it was entertained up to the Supreme Court. That's why we are appealing against what the judgment of today said.
However, a visibly elated Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, in company of his government officials and party supporters at the party's national secretariat, hailed the judgment as a triumph of justice.
We have to thank the party, the leadership of the party, for initiating a reconciliation move so that APC in Kano State will be united.
The national leadership of the APC, through its reconciliation move, has waded into the disputed Kano and other state congresses that produce parallel executives with minimal success. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, Zamfara State High Court has adjourned sitting on a suit filed by Senator Kabiru Marafa against the ruling All Progressive Congress APC to 14th March for mention. Senator Kabiru Marafa is challenging the illegality and exclusion of members of his faction from participating in the State Congress of the APC after they had purchased forms. The report.
Justice Bello Kucheri, after listening to both parties, adjourned the case to 14th March for extension of time for the defendants to adopt written addresses and for the plaintiff to present preliminary objections on issues raised. Lead counsel for the plaintiff, John Shaka,
said members of National Working Committee of the APC, state, local government and ward levels in Zamfara State are illegal and unlawful. He claimed that the APC leadership is acting as if the party does not have a constitution, which is the guiding principle of the party affairs, which is why his client is in court to challenge them to adhere to the constitution of the party.
We consider that the APC has not been following its constitution. The APC has the constitution, but they have been disregarding the constitution in every respect. They do things as if there is no law. So, for example, an APC, a party that is seeking to contest election in a democratic situation, would now collapse all its organs, all its committees, everything that has to do with the party. There is no internal democracy. You remove all elected officials and then replace them with appointed, selected officials, so that you can serve some selfish purposes. It does not allow for a level playing ground, even amongst members of the APC, before we even go to the national level. So some of the members are aggrieved that the officials at the top have taken the law into their hands. They have collapsed all the committees of the party. They have put in their own stooges so that they can now doctor the primary elections that is supposed to come.
Counsel for the APC, Shiaka Dikko, said certain applications were granted by the court and will come up at the next adjourned date. He said his client had asked for extension of time to come with application to challenge the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the case, and the plaintiff does not have the local standing to institute a suit against the APC, as he is not a member of the National Working Committee and did not participate in the state congresses.
Well, that day there is application to be taken to challenge the jurisdiction of the court, because as defendants were bringing application challenging that the plaintiffs are not really having the locus to bring the suit before this court. So on the set 14th of March, we're going to take the application to challenge the jurisdiction of the court. Well, that's a legal term saying that the plaintiff in the person of Senator Marafa is not really having the bias in law to come before this honorable court. He is not a member of the National WC that is challenging the resolution. Neither did he participate in the state congress that he is also challenging. That is what we mean.
All Progressives Congress, APC, in Zamfara State has been in crisis immediately Governor Bello Matawalle defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, followed by formal pronouncement of dissolution of the state's executives by the National Caretaker, Chairman Extraordinary, Convention Planning Committee of the party, and Yobe State Governor Maimala Bunni.
And still on judicial matters, trial of Kano controversial Islamic preacher Sheikh Abdul Jabbar Kabara has resumed at Kano Upper Sharia Court, where first prosecution witness is re-examined on his testimony on the accusation of blasphemy against Sheikh Kabara. Sheikh Kabara is facing charges bordering on blasphemy and inciting the public. Presiding Judge Sariki Yola adjourned the case for further hearing. Prosecution and defense counsels expressed satisfaction with the cross-examination of the witness.
Last year, he gave evidence and he was cross-examined. About 2 weeks ago, the defendant applied to recall the witness for further cross-examination. We objected, of course, but the court agreed that the witness should be recalled. Today, he came to court in the morning, meaning that he has been recalled, and the defendant cross-examined him. From morning till afternoon, he was cross-examining him, and he is done with him, and the court has discharged him. So that's what happened today, and the matter is adjourned to the 3rd day of March for defense to start giving evidence.
Based on our previous application, that we will appreciate it if the PW1 is recalled, which the court granted, and today we were in court. We have satisfied our conscience and the questions we expected him to answer, which to some extent he has done the little he could. And we should all know that he is not the judge. He cannot pass any evidence. So therefore we've gotten what we need. So we'll leave it until we finish our defense. Then we'll leave the rest to court. We never planned of that. So we now concluded, no, we are not bringing any no case submission. Let him come and open his defense.
And Nigerian military and paramilitary formations have endorsed the proposal by the Senate to increase the number of judges in Court of Appeal from 90 to 110. These formations, which threw their weight behind the bill, include the Nigerian Army, Air Force, Nigerian Correctional Service, Nigeria Customs Service, and the Economics and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. This comes at a public hearing in Abuja on the Court of Appeal Act Amendment Bill 2021. The report.
Speaking during the public hearing, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya, represented by Director of Legal Services, Army, Major General Mumbai, supported the provision of the amendments of the Appeal Court, which sought to increase the number of justices from 90 to 110. Adding that the amendment is in accordance with extant laws.
Then we have the Court of Appeal, which is so crucial to us. The Court of Appeal Bill seeks to amend the Court of Appeal Act 2013 by increasing the number of justices of the Court of Appeal to from 90 to 110. Having juxtaposed the bill with the Court of Appeal Amendment Act 2013, the Nigerian Army opines that the amendment of Section 1 of the Principal Act is in accordance with extant laws, and the Nigerian Army further advocates for the appointment of retired service personnel from the legal services of the armed forces to the Court of Appeal to serve as assessors.
Earlier in his presentation, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, said the bill not only sought to increase the number of justices, but also to allow for the creation of more divisions of the court to enhance speedy dispensation of justice.
Primarily seeks to amend the Court of Appeal Amendment Act 2013 by simply increasing the number of justices of the court from the present 90 to from the present 91 and to 110 justices to allow for creation of more divisions of the court, appointment and elevation of judges from the lower courts to the appeal court, and bring the court closer to litigants in order to ensure speedy disposal of cases and to declog the docket of the court. The court also exercises appellate jurisdiction to the exclusion of any other court of law in Nigeria over decisions of lower courts.
The bill, aside creation of more appeal courts and divisions, would also allow for the appointment and elevation of judges from the lower courts to the appeal courts.
You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Coming up after the break. Banker turns bread seller. This and more after the break. Stay with us.
Productive Youth Network presents 2022 Youth Convention. Theme: Enhancing Youth Productivity Towards Self-Actualization and National Development. Date: Saturday, February 19th, 2022. Location: NAF Conference Center, Main Auditorium. Time: 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Speakers: Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, Sharifa Abiola, Serial Entrepreneur, Malam Milekulu Kari, GMD NNPC. Host: Engineer Mohammed Onutu, Founder, Productive Youth Network. Register your business for B2B opportunities and free exhibition. Registration is free. For more information, call 009-109-9127.
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus. Most people who fall sick with COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate symptoms and recover without special treatment. However, some will become seriously ill and require medical attention. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, sing, or breathe. These particles range from larger respiratory droplets to smaller aerosols. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you're near someone who has COVID-19, or by touching a contaminated surface and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. The virus spreads more easily indoors and in crowded settings. Maintain a safe distance from others, at least 2 meters, even if they don't appear to be sick. Wear a mask in public, especially indoors or when physical distancing is not possible. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you feel unwell. Get vaccinated. Properly fitted masks can help prevent the spread of the virus from the person wearing the mask to others. Masks alone do not protect against COVID-19 and should be combined with physical distancing and hand hygiene. Protect yourself and others around you by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. Follow advice provided by your local health authority. This message is brought to you by Trust TV.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. Now look at our top stories. Minister of Communication and Digital Economy Isa Pantami and other telecommunication experts allay fears over the use of fifth-generation network, saying that it is more effective and reliable. And factions of the All Progressive Congress APC in Kano State have reacted to the ruling of an appeal court on the parallel state party congress in the state. And in other news, Youth Service Corps members in Gombe State received commendation for life-touching community projects during their service year. The state government challenges the outgoing members of the National Youth Service Corps to be self-reliant. Governor Inueha threw the challenge during the passing out parade ceremony for the 2021 Batch A Stream 1 NYSC Corps members deployed to the state. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
I'm Bankole Oluole Solomon from Federal Polytechnic Bauchi, where he studied agri-engineering.
These are 422 corps members of the Batch A Stream 1 corps members of the National NYSC who serve in Gombe State. They are now going to the labor market, and the most challenging task ahead of them is getting a job.
It marks the beginning of the exploration of a wider world. The knowledge and experience gained during the service year will prove useful for the challenges that lie ahead. I encourage you to be innovative and be determined to discover the vast opportunities that abound in our nation by being self-employed. You should exploit the gold mine inherent in agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and rendering of social services, among other business ventures.
The NYSC management in Gombe said the outgoing corps members were trained to be self-reliant.
Remember, your success in life is hinged on your ability and commitment to fully utilize the skills and experiences gained in the course of the service year. As you begin the next phase of your lives, I have no doubt in my mind, with the experiences you have acquired, coupled with your academic attainments, you are set to serve to the highest level of success.
We speak to some of the corps members on their plans after the service year.
Okay, now that I've concluded my service, I hope I'm in the labor market. I hope to get a job. I'm a pharmacist, so I hope to continue my work in the public sector. I'm interested in public health, and I hope to tell that line.
We say thank you, and we are grateful, and we are happy that we are passing out, and we pray that at the end of the day that God will give us jobs in our respective field of work.
I'm grateful to my local government inspector, my zonal inspector, and I'm also grateful to everyone, my family that supported me in this phase, and staying in Gombe for a year has been eventful for me. Thank you.
These are few among millions of Nigerian graduates seeking for jobs, and their number is increasing day by day. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now, Aliu Dahiru is a graduate with a successful banking career, but decided to try his luck in the bakery industry. Dahiru dumps his banking job to hawk bread in Kaduna, and he is proud of his new job. Trust TV's Fatima Ladam meets the banker turned bread hawker. Her report.
As many graduates across the country prefer white-collar jobs, for Aliyu Dahiru, a HND holder in the field of cooperative studies and business management from Kaduna Polytechnic, the reverse is the case, as he has since found a way out for himself through bread selling after dropping his bank work. According to him, the most exciting feeling is being your own employer and having your own ample time. Aliyu narrates how his interest for the bread business aroused when Trust TV catch up on him during his daily distribution.
I work in the bank before, so when I was in the bank, I got close to one of our customers who own a bakery, who usually come to deposit money in our bank. So I asked him about the business and he told me a lot, which I tried during my annual leave.
The ban on motorcycle in Kaduna State has rendered many jobless, but for Aliyu, it has become a source of blessing as he upgraded his business from using motorcycle to a minibus.
I was using motorcycle to supply bread to my customers, but all of a sudden, there come a ban on the use of motorcycle in Kaduna State, where I had to resort hiring Keke Napep to supply bread to my customers. But Alhamdulillah, thanks to Almighty Allah for making it possible for me to buy my own car within a very short period of time. As you can see, I'm using car now to supply. That is why I'm getting more customer than before.
The father of 3 girls says he has found comfort in his new business and prefers to be self-employed for life.
I realize that I make more money, freedom, rest of mind than working in the bank. That is why I resigned my bank job and start selling bread.
Aliyu Dahiru challenged other graduates to embrace legitimate business, not minding the little profit, considering how he started and grows by the day. Fatima Salaladan, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
A civil society organization staged protests in Bori Kana local government area of River State seeking an end to the deadly air pollution. Executive Director of Leke Development Foundation, Friday Mbani, said the group observed that industries using fossil fuel and financial institutions in the state have not addressed the climate crisis, despite decades of warnings and mounting climate impact on the state. The report.
River State government had declared war on illegal bunkering to address the impact of the suit. Friday Mbani and other protesters said despite Governor Nyesom Wike's directive to clamp down illegal bunkering activities, the suit still in the air as government failed to make policies that will stop all activities. They noted that the air pollution had led so many indigents of rivers and Niger Delta to their early grave.
Climate change and environmental degradation have and will continue to have an advanced impact on the full and effective enjoyment of human rights, such as the right to life, like I just said, health and safe drinking water, sanitation and so on, and adequate houses to a standard living, if not addressed. And that is why we carry out this campaign today to ensure that this is being curtailed and being addressed by the legislature, the people in power.
We want government to really come out to end black suits. It's not enough sitting down in your offices. It's not enough to come on air today to say you're chasing guys who are into illegal bunkering. What of the gas flaring from companies operating in River State? What happens to them? They're not saying anything concerning these companies because they have some benefits, some derivative they have from these companies, so they don't want to talk to the companies. So their concentration is on these boys because they are not getting any returns from them. So government should not be biased.
As it stands now, this black suit is really having effects on the people. It's really having effects on our respiratory systems. It's really having effects on our internal organs, and it's not good for the well-being of a human being. So please, the government should come out to this plea, and every form of black suit, every activities that have been going on underground or in the open, it should be stopped.
We need healthy environments. For instance, environments where they are doing bunkering, it will not be good for us to live in that environment, because we cannot breathe well, we cannot be comfortable, illness everywhere. I think that should stop.
It's the climate change and the black suit affects everybody, even if you might not notice it, because it's a long-term something. It's something that will affect you definitely in one way or the other. It is a confirmed source of cancer. People get cancer from these black suit emissions, and environmental degradation has been something that would not be okay for us as humans. It can lead to human extinction in the long term. So it's something that affects me.
We organize this awareness campaign and to mobilize the young people to avoid the illegal activities that create this scenario for us to live in the peaceful environment and to protect our environment.
The group wants effective regulatory measures to protect humans from harm caused by greenhouse gas emissions, with a call on government to hold businesses accountable for their climate impacts.
The Nigerian Senate has said there must be an end to communal clashes in the country. The position is taken following a motion titled "Incessant Bloody Clash Between Bordering Communities of Benue and Ebonyi States, Urgent Need for Senate Intervention," sponsored by Senator Abba Moro. The report.
Senator Abba Moro, representing Benue South, expressed worry over the loss of friendship between the people of Esa in Ado local government area of Benue State and the neighboring people of Efiom, Ohiaku local government area of Ebonyi State. Senator Moro observed that the development is caused by ceaseless communal clashes between the two communities, which had led to several killings and destruction of valuables worth millions of naira. The Benue South lawmaker regretted that a petition on this same crisis was laid through him to the Senate in May last year.
Virtually all Eza people have deserted their ancestral home. And so, Mr. President, I want to ask again for Senate's intervention. One, to produce security for our people. I want to ask that the Defense Ministry can order, for the moment that the lives of the people are in danger, for a security base in Ikiri, the center, the epicenter of this current crisis. Because they come in their droves, attack and go back. And the people of Eza are harmless, law-abiding citizens. Up to this moment, Mr. President, I also want to explain that as part of Senate's intervention, no relief and rehabilitation materials have been provided for the Eza people. And up to this moment, like I said, our people are vulnerable to attack.
The Senate accordingly urged the National Boundary Commission to exercise its powers in accordance with Section 7 of the Boundary Commission Act. The Commission is to define and delineate the boundaries between the Esans in Benue and Efioms in Ebonyi State.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives passed for second reading a bill seeking to prohibit harmful practices to widows. The bill proposes a 3-year jail term and 100 million naira fine for offenders. The House also urged the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct physical registrations across the country. It also asks INEC to increase the time frame of new voters' registration across Nigeria. The report.
Abubakar Yelevan, member from Jigawa State, moved the motion for INEC to conduct physical registration exercise. Debating the motion, the lawmaker said many constituencies have been displaced due to non-availability of registration centers, insufficient operational tools and equipment, among others, for successful conduct of elections.
The concern that my constituency, Malamudorikogama Federal Constituency, and many other federal constituencies have been placed at disadvantaged position due to the non-availability of registered voters, centers, and officials, inadequate power supply, insufficient official tools and equipment, as well as inadequate enlightenment program. The effect of this are low figure recorded within the constituencies.
Lawmakers, while supporting the motion, said it is one of the best pieces of legislation by the Ninth Assembly.
That we adopt this motion as our own motion because, like I said, it has spoken directly to the concerns we have about registration. It is a motion also that seeks to address some of the deficiencies and major concerns of our electoral procedures and our voting system.
Not up to 10%, Mr. Speaker, have access to what INEC are using now to do the continuous voters registration. Mr. Speaker, until and unless the physical enumerators like it is done in the past, INEC are advised or compelled, in other words, to ensure that they employ ad hoc staff to go the four angles of Nigeria and ensure that they have captured citizens of this country who are eligible, who is not a privilege for them to participate in the forthcoming election.
If you look at the statistics of last year and the statistics of this year, you'll find out that it's almost more than 10 times more people were registered manually by this time last year. So online registration hasn't helped us. So we need to not only ensure that we mix both physical, manual, and online at the same time, which means INEC going physically to all the voting centers and make sure that there's time enough.
Meanwhile, a bill sponsored by Adejaro Adeogun and Sergio Ogun seeks to impose 3-year jail term or 100,000 naira fine on any person who commits harmful practice against the widow.
A group within the ruling All Progressives Congress APC door-to-door campaign forum has appealed to the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired, to join the party so that Nigerians can benefit from his experience, particularly now that the country is going through security challenges. The national coordinator of the group, Ibrahim Damfulani, made the appeal on behalf of the group during its 7th Northwest Annual General Meeting in Kaduna.
APC Atoyo Campaign Forum urged the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired, to join the ruling party, All Progressive Congress, APC, saying that it will benefit from tremendous experience of the general, especially now that the political atmosphere of the country is gathering momentum toward the 2023 general election. Ahead of the 2023 general election in the country, we are making a passionate appeal to Nigeria's most celebrated military Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, to join the party will greatly enhance the fortune of the party in many more ways.
You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues after this break. Stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Hello, and welcome to Trust TV News Updates.
I'm Zainab Bala. For more news, follow us across all our social media platforms.
The nightmare that most of these Pape residents have dreaded for many years is finally happening.
The place is a skeleton of itself, a place that was once busy with patients trooping in and out.
I'm standing right now. I'm standing on top of the Maloney Hill in the ancient city of Kefi.
Cooperation. I know communities where they are contributing to buy locally manufactured gas to defend themselves.
Being a Nigerian entrepreneur, and I am going to be taking you on a journey to show you the beautiful, the motivational and resilient nature of Nigerian entrepreneurs.
Behind me is the Arewa Textile Mill, established in 1963 and eventually closed down in 2004.
We are still going into some other hideouts to see if any apprehensions will be made tonight.
Let's travel down to Shekau, a community in Yobe State, to talk to Shekau's mother on what she thinks about this development.
Well, even to be a magistrate is a funny thing.
Yes. Have things changed? Is there more corruption now in the judiciary? And what can we do about it?
Well, this is one of the internally displaced camps here in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital.
Welcome back. Still watching Trust TV News Hour. Now to business news. Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP, experienced a decline as it dropped to 3.98% in the fourth quarter of 2021 from 4.03% and 5.01% recorded in the third and second quarters of 2021. Statistician General of the Federation and Executive Director, National Bureau of Statistics, Simon Harry, said this on Thursday in Abuja. Trust TV's Chamun Dabeng has more.
The new figure disclosed by the National Bureau of Statistics is indicative of a continuous positive growth when compared to the 0.11% and 0.51% recorded in Q4 2020 and Q1 2021 respectively, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Statistician General of the Federation and Executive Director of the National Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Simon Harry, noted that the new figure, though lower than the 4.03% growth rate in Q3, was analytically better when viewed in terms of the base effect of the corresponding period in Q4 of 2020.
In Q1 of 2021, we had a figure of 0.51%. So the growth continued up to Q2 of the 2021, when we recorded a tremendous growth of 5.01%. Again, that was maintained even in Q3 of 2021, when the nation's economy grew by 4.03%. Gentlemen of the press, it is pertinent to know that the economy has maintained this positive trajectory up to the fourth quarter of 2021, recording a GDP growth rate of 3.98%.
According to Dr. Harry, the improvement in the output growth over the last 5 quarters is a steady progress made in stemming the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated negative impact on livelihood, well-being and the economy.
In nominal terms, aggregate GDP stood at 49.28 trillion naira during the fourth quarter of 2021. And this performance is higher when compared to the fourth quarter of 2020, which recorded 43.56% trillion naira, indicating a year-on-year nominal growth rate of 13.11%. Nominal gross domestic product in the preceding quarter of 2021 stood at 49.11 trillion naira.
On an annual basis, oil contributed 7.24% compared to the 8.16% in 2020, while the non-oil sector recorded a growth of 4.73%. Transportation and storage sector, mining and quarrying, financial and insurance sector, water supply, sewerage, waste management and remediation sector showed strong growths during the fourth quarter of 2021. Agriculture, industry and services contributed 26.84%, 18.05% and 55.11% respectively to the GDP. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And former Nigerian ambassador to Russia, Jibrin Chinadi, says the current face-off between Russia and Ukraine can be resolved through dialogue and diplomatic solutions. Ambassador Chinadi said this in Bauchi State while speaking in an exclusive interview on the tension in Eastern Europe over deployment of Russian troops to the Ukrainian border. This is coming as conflicting claims say that Moscow is set to withdraw its troops. Trust TV's Adam Imam completes the report.
The recent uprising in Europe drew the attention of the entire world, seeing Russian intention to invade Ukraine by the recent deployment of military troops, while diplomatic expert appeals for more understanding between the parties involved in the crisis. Ambassador Jibrin Chinadi, former ambassador to Russia, says he hopes that the crisis will not escalate because the world will not allow it to fall into serious setback.
If the world will join me in praying that there will be no third world war, because what you are really saying, if there is a war between America and Russia, I think we might as well call it a third world war. And nobody wants that scale of violence in the world today. Taking into consideration the huge armaments possessed and owned by both sides, nuclear, missile, anything you can think of. For these two powers or these powers to fight on a war is going to be a terrible setback to the world. All we can do is to pray and hope that diplomacy will prevail rather than war.
He added that the relationship between many European giants that exist will not be in jeopardy, especially in the area of economic and social interests of the world, and calls for developing countries to reject the intention of Russia at the moment.
Changed in the last few years, and with the emergence of China, India, and hopefully Nigeria, the world balance of power will shift to Africa and other G20 countries. But it's going to be gradual. We pray it will be peaceful and it will be to the benefit of humanity.
He maintained that Russia and Germany has a lot of economic relations, particularly in the area of supplying gas energy to the Western Europe, saying military solution will not be an advantage to the entire world. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And rescue workers in Brazil are racing against time, searching for any remaining survivors among mud and wreckage after devastating flash floods and landslides hit the picturesque Brazilian city of Petrópolis. As authorities said on Thursday, the death toll has risen to 105. The state government said at least 24 people have been rescued. Streets were turned into rivers and houses swept away when heavy storms dumped a month's worth of rain in 3 hours on the scenic tourist town in the hills north of Rio de Janeiro. With dozens still reported missing, fears that the death toll could climb further sent firefighters and volunteers scrambling through the remains of houses washed away in torrents of mud, many of them in impoverished hillside slums. Using dogs, excavators and helicopters, rescue workers are urgently searching for more people before it is too late, with the Rio Public Prosecutor's Office reporting that 35 people have been registered missing. About 300 people are being housed in shelters, mostly in schools, officials said. Charities are calling for donations of mattresses, food, water, clothing and face masks for victims. Meanwhile, rescue workers in Afghanistan are scrambling to reach a 9-year-old boy trapped for 2 days down a well in southern Zabul province. The operation in Shokak village comes less than 2 weeks after a similar attempt to rescue a child from a well in Morocco captured the world's attention. But that operation ended with the boy found dead. Local officials said that the boy appeared trapped about 10 meters down the 25-meter shaft. Secretary to the Deputy Prime Minister, Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, in the Taliban-run government, Abdullah Azam, said a team is there with an ambulance, oxygen and other necessary things. Rescuers are digging an open split trench from an angle at the surface to try to reach the point where the boy is trapped. And we now join Adeni Ajishafe for Sports News.
2022 KBB Soccer League has ended after a 4-month-long league that featured 10 clubs across Kebbi State. 4 B soccer clubs comprising of Iliasu Sport, Atiku Bagudu, Marshall Academy and Yao Foundation B Soccer Club played the Super 4 finals. Yao Foundation defeated Marshall Academy Beach Soccer Club to clinch the title on penalties after a 1-1 draw. Monshu Gugua of Marshall Academy BSC emerged most valuable player. Sabi Boy won best goalkeeper as Emeka Ogbona of Atiku Bagudu B Soccer Club emerged top goal scorer of the tournament. Edo 2020 National Sports Festival Local Organizing Committee LOC has submitted a report of the competition to the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport at MKO Abiola Stadium, Abuja. The chairman, Edo 2020 Local Organizing Committee, Comrade Philip Shaibu, thanked President Muhammadu Buhari for granting Edo State the opportunity to host the festival. Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dare, while receiving the report in his office at the MKO Abiola Stadium, says government will look into the recommendations contained in the document with a view to adopt possible areas of collaboration with the state.
Honorable Minister, we had a tournament that throughout the tournament and after 14 days after there was no single spark of COVID-19, not only in Edo State but in the entire country. That singular decision from the ministry to allow us host the tournament at that time actually helped the International Olympic Federation to take a decision to have the Olympic Games hosted by Japan to commence. Because one of their press conferences, Nigeria was referred to. The report we presented to you, has two phases. One is reports on the entire event. The other one is pictorial activities. Interestingly, also to thank you and congratulate you about the vision of the ADOPT program.
This event today is very significant. It is indeed a pioneering event. Never has it happened before that a state will host the National Sports Festival and thereafter proceed to put together a compendium, two-part compendium. The submission of your report this afternoon is a landmark event.
That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And before we go, let's head to Tunisia, where we have a different spin on recycling. It is a country where recycling is almost non-existent. But one of the country's few recycling companies sort through mountains of plastic and cut it into fine chips for industrial use. Let's take a look.
This is one of Tunisia's few existing recycling companies. It transforms mountains of plastic into industrial chips or granules. The company, called African Recycling, started in 2009. Today, it employs around 60 people, mostly women whose husbands are unemployed. Indirectly, the company gives an income to more than 200 people. Its owner, Tariq Masmoudi, has big ideas for the future.
This waste is an added value and we can create many jobs. We have a great lack of plastic waste in Tunisia. Instead of importing this waste from other countries and losing foreign currency, we can use it in Tunisia.
The vast majority of waste in Tunisia is buried at the cost of the taxpayer.
The state is paying about 150 to 200 dinars per ton to dump this waste in landfills and to transport it. In Europe and in other countries, they see this waste as wealth. Many financiers in Europe have invested in waste to make money.
Now, landfill sites across the country are almost filled up. In the central city of Aghareb, a site closed down a few months ago after residents complained about toxic fumes. But authorities had no choice than to reopen it after the neighbouring city of Sfax was buried under rubbish. The decision triggered violent protests mid-November, where one person died. Wali Madassi, an expert on the topic, explains the challenge of good waste management.
If you want to have solutions, you have to have a fixed strategy without being able to change it. And that's what we had in Tunisia. We've had many changes, and each time we come back to the starting point.
There is a further problem. Only a quarter of Tunisians pay housing tax, including a tax on waste.
If people don't pay to ensure the cost of treatment each time, we will never have a project. And this is the problem we have in Tunisia.
Authorities have opted for a hybrid method of sorting, compacting, and composting waste to tackle the issue. But that will only start in 2 years. Until then, the only recourse for many remains illegal dumping.
And on that note, we conclude Trust TV News Hour for tonight. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.